Good morning and welcome to Governance Dialogues. It's a pleasure to host you back on my program. My name is Alissa Kole and I'm the Managing Director of Governance Center. And in this conversation, I would like to perhaps return to this conversation of director duties and their definition in conversation with an expert who's joining us today from France, Michel de Fabiani. Michel, bienvenue et bonjour.
Merci.
What is your sort of take on the situation? How fair is it to expect boards to be responsible for ultimately what can be quite a lengthy value chain? And what role can boards really have in addressing today some of these issues, which could be quite frankly serious in this particular case with the China situation?
China, of course, is on the forefront of every discussion at the moment. But if you think of what's happening in the world, and for companies who have operations worldwide, which is the largest, and those who are listed usually, or big family companies, frankly, China is not the only case. One point I want to mention, of course, the suppliers chain in the value chain is very important because it is, as we said, we have the employees, suppliers, and then customers. We think that pragmatic approaches exist, like the OECD principles, which are very useful as a framework. We think that some countries have gone very far, like France. It's not obvious that you can implement all that because you have to be careful of one thing when you're in business. It's if you say, well, this country is difficult or this place is difficult, just get out of it. And that's what usually is the recommendations of large NGOs, international NGOs, who have a very broad approach, but they don't see the reality sometimes, or they see just one lens of the reality. If you go out, it's easy, you just divest, and then you will be replaced by someone who probably will be not so keen and not so strong on human rights or employee conditions or remuneration, etc., etc.
And a lot of what we discussed today was also about that, about sort of the division or the balancing of responsibilities between boards and investors and between states in terms of European Commission or national state setting. Where is the right let's say line in the sand when it comes to corporate governance in terms of leaving responsibilities for boards and executives to decide and set their values and in the value chains and in relationship with stakeholders and whatnot, and where does the state or the Commission, the supranational bodies, the OECD, the World Bank, other standard setters come in and say, these are the rules that we expect you to adhere to. And I think that's sort of perhaps the last question or note that I would like to end this conversation with.
It is very clear that business alone cannot solve all the human issues, societal issues. Business alone cannot. Of course, we are the instrument by which things are happening. We produce, we sell, we advise, etc., etc. But it is very important that the political world, as well as the NGOs, play a role, but the role has to be played together. It's not NGOs against political world or political world against companies or NGOs against companies. It's together. It is more difficult indeed than splitting and saying, well, I don't want to talk to you anymore. That's the easiest way to do a thing. But if you want things to improve, how will you improve the economic situation, the labor situation in countries where there are problems if the more advanced companies quit? That's a big question.